Welcome back, America. Byron York is the Washington Examiner's chief political correspondent. He's also a Fox News contributor. Byron, welcome. I wonder what you thought when the bombs started to fall in Gaza last night.
I was not particularly surprised. I mean, didn't pretty much everybody think that Phase 2 really wasn't going to happen? There had been intelligence and talk about some sort of new Hamas attack that was in the works. So I wasn't terribly surprised.
I was only because they have an ongoing constitutional crisis, a real one, in Israel about whether the Netanyahu government can fire the head of Shin Bet, which is their FBI, and their attorney general who was appointed by the previous government. And they don't have a written constitution. All they have is a basic law, and the AG really hates Netanyahu, who's making stuff up as she goes along. And I don't think a head of Shin Bet has ever been fired before, and therefore I was taken by surprise. I thought they would resolve that this week before and let Witkoff have another week. So now I don't think it stops, though. I thought it was coming to a head, but now that it's begun, I don't think it's going to stop again. Do you?
No. I mean, every time I've ever seen Netanyahu talk, he stresses the goals of the war. And it's not just to get hostages back. It's to destroy Hamas as a force in Gaza forever and ever. So he's never said that Israel had accomplished that. He didn't even suggest that Israel was close to accomplishing that. So I would agree with you.
Now, there are 21 hostages, maximum number of 21 hostages alive. One of them is American, and Dan Alexander is a dual citizen. They are all young men of military age. More than 400 Israeli soldiers have died in Gaza. I think the emotional calculation has changed for Israel, but I'm not an Israeli. And I listen to as many podcasts as I can by people who know Israel a lot better than I do, and to Israelis. But I think the cost in Israel is being counted differently now. Do you get that same sense, Byron?
I think you're paying even more attention to it than I am. I think there's a couple of things. One, they're deeply divided over there about how to respond to this, and certainly about the leadership of Netanyahu. And I always thought that after October 7th, the obvious priority was to retaliate for October 7th, try to get the hostages back. But there was going to come a time of reckoning for how incredibly unprepared they were for this attack. And even if they're successful in destroying Hamas, they would have to look back at everything that was being done, and more importantly, not done, to secure that border with Gaza at that time, and they would have to make some major changes in the way they were operating.
As an objective matter, and this includes the cost of a horrific massacre that murdered 1,200 people, wounded 5,250 hostages, the emotional toll. Objectively, as a nation state, is Israel better off today than they were on 10/6?
Boy, I think that's a question you can't answer because, first of all, you don't really want to put that price on human life and the loss that people experience. Strategically, in the damage that they've done, not just to Hamas, but to Hezbollah and to other Iranian-backed proxies, they've made a heck of a lot of progress.
Yeah, this is my bridge.
They're in a much better place.
I don't think those 1,200 people died in vain, or the hostages who were executed, because I believe Iran is going to suffer the regime. Not only has it been crippled in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Syria, in Yemen, I think Donald Trump's going to bomb the crap out of them. And I think he's going to do it pretty soon with the Israelis. That's what I think. What do you think, Byron?
I don't know. I mean, we did see a pretty robust American attack against the Houthis. There needs to be more of that. And clearly the attack was directed at the Houthi leadership and the Iranian support of the Houthis. It was not like they were just an attack just on the Houthi forces. So I do think you're going to see more. And some of it will involve the United States. I hope a lot of it does not involve the United States. This is This is not the United States' fight, but the United States has been very, very supportive of Israel.
Now, but I'm kind of a hawk on this, and I'm sure I've known Tucker a long time. I got to have Tucker on to talk to him about this. I know Tucker doesn't want to attack Iran, but I don't think we can allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon because they're a religious, fanatical group. They're not like North Korea. They're not like Putin. They're not like the Pakistan junta. They're not like India. They actually have a death wish. They have a theological argument for using nuclear. I don't think we can let them have them. And when I hear the president
Trump said very, very clearly that Iran is not going to have a nuclear weapon as long
Right.
as Donald Trump is president.
And well, yeah, but that's only 45 months. And I think he goes down in history if he takes out that program as a strong and successful president. And I think he wants to be a strong and successful president in history. And the one way to do that is to end that program. And what a way to draw a line between the Biden regency and the Obama apostrophe and Donald Trump if he takes out the Iranian nuclear weapons. Whenever he talks about the nuclear, he's been doing this for 10 years now. The nuclear, it's too big. People don't know about the nuclear. I know what he's saying. He's talking about Oppenheimer. I'm what, Veda, with the guy whose death, what's the name? I'm Vishnu. Yeah, I'm Vishnu. I know what he's talking about.
Well, don't you think the Israelis can do that?
No.
And the problem was, in the past, you had an American administration actively trying to hold back the Israelis and to withhold some forms of aid, but definitely trying to hold back the Israelis from doing things they were capable of doing.
Yeah, I don't think they can get deep enough underground to get the centrifuges, and that we have the Moabs and other ordnance that can be dropped on the mountains. That's what I think the problem is. You're not going to comment?
Well, I don't know exactly what to say to that. I'd have to look into this more carefully. I'll tell you right now. I don't know. I understand the whole bunker busting situation, but I'm not entirely sure that Israel can't pull something off like this. And of course, I don't really want to see the United States engaging.
I think Ehud Barak once said it would take you guys 3 hours over Iran, it would be over. I think he's underestimating it would take 96 hours, but we'll see. Don't go anywhere, Byron. I got to ask you about Judge Boasberg as well. I'm back with Byron York. Byron, when you hear someone like me say this is a non-justiciable political question that the judge ought to dismiss, and if the ACLU wants to take it up to the circuit, let them. He's punching above his weight when he's punching at DOJ and the president, and he's not making anybody happy. He ought to punt. Am I persuasive to you?
Yeah, I just don't see why Judge Boasberg didn't punt to begin with.
Right.
Now, he is a judge in the District Court of the District of Columbia, so I think he thinks he's in the middle. He's not in some district in Washington State.
Oh, he's a federal district court judge. They're going to get to heaven and be surprised that they're not in charge. Do you not know any federal district court judges? They don't have to be on the Supreme Court. They all think they're God.
Hasn't Trump in the past had like district judges just way out in the world somewhere?
Yeah,
issuing a nationwide injunction.
Oh yeah, he had a Reagan senior circuit judge in Washington State tell him he couldn't issue the Declaration on Citizenship that was patently unconstitutional. I don't know if the guy can read anymore. He's like 90 years old, and so yeah, we have rando judges problem. But that's not this. This is just a guy who thinks he's in charge.
Yeah, and I don't know why. At least the judge didn't say, well, there are judges above me, and I think they ought to take a look at this.
That's what he should do.
I think would have gotten to the Supreme Court very quickly.
Yeah, I would at least get it up. But I think they do fall in love with themselves, Byron. And
yeah, you're right.
And they just think, my gosh, I'm going to tell the President of the United States what to do, and this president is not for telling. Last question. Do you think he's more comfortable being president than he's ever been before?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just astonishing. You talk to him or you talk to the people around him. I mean, the second swing of the ball is just so different than the
He's
first.
seeing the seam. Man,
Yep.
and he won the tournament. He won the club championship, too, so he's in a good mood.
He's in a very good mood. He's in a golf-induced good mood.
That's how the world leaders ought to call him after he wins the club championship when they want a tariff talk down. They got to call him after he's won something. Byron York, always good to talk to you. Follow him on X at Byron York.